Good afternoon, everybody, I should say. How are you today? Good, thank you. 5 minute fundamentals this week. I thought that we would talk a little bit about biomedia and choosing the right biomedia for the job. Now, generally speaking, we're going to fall into one of sort of three categories. Essentially, we're going to fall into static media, media that doesn't move. Okay, we're going to go into wet dry media, media that is exposed to the air but water trickles over it, so hence wet dry. And we're going to go over fluidized filters like moving bed filters that are submerged but are, maintained by aeration and mixed. Okay, so the first one is the general moving bed media, the MBBR, the common filter that is used in aquaculture and wastewater, is gaining popularity in aquarium systems as well. Okay, you'll be familiar with K1, K2, K3, well, K1, K3, K5, K1 and K3 really. K3 kind of looks like that. K1 is a smaller media, about 10 mil. This is the HELX 13KLL, which is my standard media that I use, over 900 square meters per cube. Protected 850 protected square meters per cubic meter protected surface area, which is what your nitrification is calculated and based on. This can also be used in a static filter, as in an upflow packed filter, because of the side holes as well as the end as well. The capture rates in a static filter are exceptional for fines removal as well as biological filtration. In a moving bed, obviously, the access to the side of the media allows for flushing, shearing, and removal of waste and excess and dead biofilm and things like that as well. So. Another fluidized filter that uses moving bed filters is a chip style. This is the Helix Flake 50 mil, 30 mil, which is 5,500 square meters per cube. The shape of the media does require a little bit different mixing tactics, so it does your media and reactor design does matter. But where you haven't got a lot of space or you're looking to boost other filtration processes, especially if you've got a standard moving bed with this media and you want to gain, okay, so 10% fill of this is equivalent to the same nitrification that a 50% fill biomedia filter of this size has. So you can essentially nearly double your biological filtration capacity as long as you've got enough oxygen in there, by only increasing the fill rate by 10% because of the sheer vast surface area of this stuff. But you do need to adjust your aeration and your mixing as well. So it's, there are things that you need to take into account. Okay. Now, wet dry filters, things like bio balls, those long log noodle looking things, even one of our favorite, low density, for low density applications, Biomedia is Marine Pure. This has a fantastic capillary action. You can soak it in water, pick it up. No water will run out for very little will, and then you can blow through it, and a couple of teaspoons of water will come out. Like, it holds a lot of water. It has an incredibly intricate internal structure that allows the movement of waste in and out. Now, this is in a low loaded application, obviously, like an aquarium application. The higher the load goes, the more pre-filtration you need so that you don't get clogging. These can be used in a wet dry application as well as submerged. I've used them in both canister filters and wet dry trickle filters. Bioballs are more commonly used in trickle filters or wet dry filters. So I'll finish up with that and move into bioballs a bit more. A lot of people think or say that bioballs are nitrate bombs and that they are not efficient. And that's just not true. The reason they're nitrate bombs is because they are so efficient at what they do. They are so efficient at removing ammonia and nitrite, and they don't have any denitrification capability like things like Marine Pure or the Marine Pure blocks or Live Rock or anything like that has. Okay, so again, the right tool for the job. If you're only looking for nitrification of ammonia and nitrite and you don't have a lot of loading, a trickle filter is perfect. In high density applications, you're going to want a moving bed or something else. There's plenty of different biological filtration options out there. In regards to static submerged filter media that isn't backwashed like, this sort of media in a floating static bed, Marine Pure a lot of these other glass porous medias. There's the Mantis stuff, and there's what was the old one? Siperax, Matrix from Seachem, all of these other brands, okay? It's important to focus on usable surface area. So if the pores are physically that small and you can't really blow air and water easily through them like you can with something like Marine Pure, it's probably going to block, and the outside surface area is probably all that's going to be available for nitrification. Okay. There are plenty more fluid bed filters, things like that. Each one has their benefits, and their pros and cons, or where you would use them and where you wouldn't. For instance, fluid bed filters are incredibly good in cold water systems, but not in warm water systems because of the biofloc production. Okay. Moving beds don't dig gas as well as a trickle filter, but they also have limited denitrification capabilities, which is why they probably haven't been adopted in marine and freshwater aquariums all that much to date. I've been using them for years in marine and freshwater applications, in both aquarium size applications and aquaculture with fantastic success. The application of a moving bed into a marine system actually has the side benefit of feeding your corals as well, because as all of these moving bed medias bump up against each other, they sloth and they exfoliate. That's the benefit of it. It keeps the biofilm nice and thin, so it can operate really, really efficiently. Now, as they bump up against each other, it bumps off mold and waste and bacterial biofilm, which is about 35 to 40% protein by itself. And a lot of these strains, the majority of them, are probiotic or beneficial strains. So, you're passing on that effect to your corals as well, because they are filter feeders, and one of the main food sources they get from the ocean in the wild and in your aquarium is bacterioplankton. So by putting in a little moving bed reactor, and we are working on those, that's another thing, you can have a constant source of food for your coral to promote polyp extension and constant feeding, cut down on your feeding bill, things like that, whilst also maintaining an incredibly efficient ammonia and nitrite removal system. And then, you can run your refugium for nitrate removal, or your biopellets for nitrate removal, or whatever it might be. Just like a biopellet reactor that sloths off stuff, so does the moving bed, but the moving bed isn't consumption. It doesn't consume the media. It's just the bacteria growing off the ammonia and nitrite in the water, and because they don't require organic carbon, they use inorganic carbon, bicarbonates and carbonates, to process ammonia and nitrite. You don't need something that needs to feed them like a biopellet with organic carbon sources in it. I think that's enough for today. 7 minutes and 58 seconds. Hey, look, 5-minute fundamentals. It's more of a state of mind, really, than an actual time frame. See you all soon. Bye.